It was gonna we got One Hit Wonderland, Untouched by the Veronicas. Now I'm not gonna lie, I don't think I've ever heard of this song. So let's give it a quick listen. Okay, yeah, that seems pretty good. Bum 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 bum.
Welcome back to One Hit Wonderland, where
I
we
didn't know
take
it
a
was
look
gonna
at
do
bands
that.
and artists known for only one song. We are still doing the requests I took to pay to remove a bunch of weird skin growths from my dog. Your donations at work. Anyway, today's request is special for two reasons. One, they requested a song from 2009, which is as recent a one-hit wonder as I've ever done. Pretty soon we're going to have to tiptoe into the 2010s, and then I will just turn to dust. And secondly, this is one of my favorite kinds of episodes. The one where I make an entire country of people angry at me. Now, usually it's the British or the Canadians, but I feel like I haven't made the Australians angry at me in a while. Well, that changes now because we're doing some true blue dinky die Aussies by crikey, and it's not my fault to blame the requester Australia. Anyway, who are the Veronicas?
They're pop princesses with punk attitudes.
Much later, though. We'll get into that. Fair warning, I don't really know much about the Veronicas or their place in the world. I'm guessing most of you don't either, except for, I'm guessing, a small portion of you for whom the Veronicas were your entire life in high school. Anyway, the Veronicas debuted with
not
great
that old.
expectations,
Oh my
but
god.
Despite big dreams from their label to turn them into global superstars, it seemed at first like they would never arrive like they wanted to.
My god.
But in 2009,
I'm insulted.
just when it seemed
High
the world
school?
had given up
In
on
the
them,
2000s?
they had their biggest
Jesus Christ.
international hit.
I've never like heard this song before this video.
Yes, Untouched. Not the biggest hit of its time, but people who like this song love this song. If you have a playlist entitled 2000s Hot Girl Bangers, it's probably on there. Showed up on a bunch of shows, soundtracks. I mean, you remember this, don't you? Right? Yeah, sure you do.
No. Are you gaslighting me?
And yet, despite having the look, the sound, and finally the hit, the Veronicas never quite escaped the prison island that they and all their ancestors were exiled to, forever stuck among the barbaric wastelands fighting for food and gas. Told you I was gonna make you mad, Australia. Anyway, what the hell was wrong with us that two hot punk rock
bro, this
were
stuff
not-
I see in videos in Australia, bro, like you have like the fucking like they will literally have like animals there that you literally never heard of. Like they would just make like it literally sound like makeup. Like they can make up some shit like the fucking Godzilla spider. Like what the fuck is that? I've never heard. Like they can just make shit up and you'll probably believe it because they got fucking creatures over there. Like I'm not going over there.
Well, let's find out.
I'm gonna wake up and I'm gonna have a fucking pig bat on my fucking chest. Like I ain't trying to go there.
God, it's gonna be stuck in my head.
We grew up around music. Our dad was in a band, and our mum would take us to live shows as babies. From 6 months old, we would communicate in harmony with one another.
The Veronicas were big enough that they had an Australian reality show in 2019, which is certainly convenient for me, especially compared to the last guy who was seemingly allergic to fame.
We started writing our own music and signed our first deal when we were 18.
Anyway, thanks for doing some of the tedious exposition for me, Veronicas. For the record, they forgot to include the Australian kids show they were on before they were famous, where they played the bitchy mean girls.
You made your bed. Now, die in it.
Not sure why they'd omit that. Now, normally, I would try to do some research about the history of Australian rock to explain where they came from, but that would be very hard for me because I don't know shit about Australia. It's very far. The Australian musical ecosystem is a weird, isolated place where all sorts of strange new species pop up. Fortunately, in this case, I don't have to worry about it very much because the Veronicas really don't have a lot to do with their local scene.
Most acts get a record deal in Australia if they can, and then take us to the rest of the world. But you've kind of leapfrogged the system, haven't you?
I know.
Right from the moment they got snatched up by Warner Brothers in the early 2000s, their corporate overlords had global ambitions for them. See, you know how every few years we get this groundbreaking new pop starlet, and then labels flood the zone with imitators?
Tate McRae.
Well, in the early 2000s, that girl was Avril Lavigne.
It's actually very surprising how Tate McRae kind of turned her career around and actually like became a major, semi-major pop star.
Despite many attempts, the label never really found a new Avril, but by the mid to late 2000s, the earthquake she started had birthed its own little quasi-genre that I don't think has a name. I've heard it most often referred to as Radio Disney Rock. Like, pop punk existed before Avril, but as the decade went on, the labels kept turning the dial more towards pop and away from punk. So you have a lot of these bands and artists that looked like MySpace scene kids, but were aimed at Hilary Duff fans. Anyway, the Origlasso sisters were clearly one of the acts that were supposed to be the new Avril. It's easy to see why people thought they were gonna sell.
Twins, Basil, twins.
Okay, I'm trying to keep this episode classy, but for the record, the Veronicas do take a lot of photos like this and dress like this, and I certainly appreciate it, Requester. But I'm going to try and keep that to myself. Anyway, they get signed. They perform locally for a few years in their teens. As
God made
twins,
one of them. It was like fucking double it.
And then they do a little writing for other acts like Tattoo. Did you know Tattoo had more than one song? Yeah, this was actually a pretty big hit overseas. And then the twins changed their name to the Veronicas. It's funny that they seem to be avoiding their own actual names a lot, too many tricky Italian vowels in it. They claim they got their name from the one non-Heather in Heathers.
You a Heather?
No. I'm a Veronica.
Why does that guy look familiar?
The most iconic Veronica. Archie Comics disagreed and sued them as if they owned the rights to the name Veronica, which is insane. This is absolutely the stupidest thing Archie Comics ever did, and I can say that confidently because I never watched Riverdale. Ignorance is
Riverdale.
bliss. Anyway, they settled the suit with
Should I watch Riverdale? I haven't watched Riverdale either.
Their first album comes out in 2005. It's pretty good. I liked it. Like I said, there were big expectations for it. Martin and Dr. Luke right after they both blew up with Since You've Been Gone. So that's a big deal. And that first record was a big hit right out of the gate.
Wait, did he blur the wrong guy?
Yeah, it seems
Am
like
I crazy?
No real traction anywhere else despite the big push. Like, some people say they remember the one song pretty well. It was a middling hit in Europe, but wasn't really a big hit anywhere else except Australia and mini Australia. Fortunately for Max and Luke, they managed to recycle the song and give it to Pink instead. It's the same song. The record's not amazing, but it is pretty solid. And it also ends with a cover of Tracy Bonham's Mother, Mother, which I think is fucking awesome.
I'm hungry, I'm dirty, I'm losing my mind.
I'm not even a huge fan of that song, but I think that's a really kick-ass choice of cover. Anyway, by this point, the whole teen pop fake punk sound was moving even further away from the veneer of credibility. Those without the backing of The Mouse found it pretty hard to establish a real fan
Mouse.
base. I think most of them had 1 or 2 hits at most, so it was
that song fucking sucks. I hate that song.
This might be why when they took a second stab at breaking America in 2007, they sounded completely different.
2007? That's when I was born.
Their second album in 2007, Hook Me Up, is very synthesizer heavy, and they've mostly given up on guitars. Also, I did mention they wrote for Tattoo, right? Looks like Tattoo lent them their schoolgirl outfits for this video. And I'm really trying not to be gross up here, but like, these are questionably framed shots for two sisters, right?
Wait, yeah, they are. What the fuck?
I'm like not just like a giant pervert. Anyway, Hook Me Up went #1 in both Australia and nowhere else.
Damn.
A very worrying trend for the Veronicas. But they already had the song.
What an unlucky spawn. Like, bro, imagine just having to be big in Australia. Fuck.
Best thing they had.
You gotta be able to sing, dance, and fucking fight off Godzilla spiders. Like, fuck, bro.
Just waiting.
Unlucky.
The song that would break them worldwide and would become undisputedly their biggest hit ever.
It is time for a very, very special guest. Will you please make welcome the Veronicas?
That song was called Untouched.
Feel so untouched and I want you so much that I
This reminds me of Nana.
Anyway, after
you guys ever watch
Untouched, they
Nana?
had a
You know what I'm
song
talking about?
called
The
Miss
anime?
Love that was actually written by Dr. Luke's next protege, a young woman named Kesha Siebert. You know, I think that's cool. The Veronicas write for Tattoo, and then the Veronicas get big, and then Kesha writes songs for the Veronicas, and then Kesha gets big. A good, solid team effort by the entire Dr. Luke stable, and I assume that nothing but good things happened from there. And then there were 2 more singles from that album. Take Me on the Floor, which was again big in Australia, and another single named Popular, but you're probably getting annoyed with me since I just kind of skipped over the big
Wait, yeah, I was just
Did
gonna say,
forget
what?
something? No, I didn't. Untouched completely failed to chart in America, and that was apparently that. Why? The girls think it was because of their change of sound.
Wait, what are we doing here? I thought we were doing fucking One Hit Wonderland in America. What?
In 2007, according to them at least,
I mean, I'm not complaining, but like, what happened to the rules?
guitar music was still all the rage. That's not quite how I remember it, but that's their explanation. I guess it kind of makes sense. So their new electro-pop style was just not going to fly. This is why, at the end of 2008, as their album cycle came to a close, they were still just a regional act. No one in 2007 or 2008 wanted synthesizer-driven music.
Oh, I mean, that's kind of ironic.
2009 would be a different story.
Oh, so they got big in 2000. Okay, I get it.
So, out of nowhere, in the final weeks of 2008, Untouched gets a year-late second wind and starts charting in America. In the summer of 2009, it reaches the UK. By the end of the year, it will have charted in 15 different countries, 8 of them in the top 10. Apparently, it just took off on Z100 one day, and then all of a sudden it spread everywhere. Everyone seems to agree it was just a matter of timing. It's 2009, bloopy synths are back in. And the thing is, Untouched is not
sexy
even that synth-driven.
bitch.
I mean, it's there, but there's none of the little blippy electro riffs that Lady Gaga had. But that's their story. Lisa says as much in this article that the Veronicas finally had a lane open to them now thanks to Gaga and MGMT. What? Okay, I don't really think they have much of the same audience, but whatever. Like, clearly someone thought that they were still adjacent to the emo scene, judging by the video. Like, they're clearly shooting for the My Chemical Romance kids. Like, look at these guys.
True.
I don't think any of them were ever real members of the band, but they all look like they wrote a song titled Catherine in high school. Otherwise, not a great video. You can tell this was made in 07 and not 09 because color has not yet been violently reintroduced in music videos yet. So, funny thing, a few years ago, I was trying to pick a one-hit wonder from 2009, and I did consider Untouched, but I didn't do that episode for a couple reasons. One, I don't remember it at all. I mean, I was definitely paying attention to the radio in 09.
I wasn't even born. I was 2.
Barrage of Gaga, the Black
2 years
Eyed
old.
Peas, Pitbull, Kesha, and of course, I'm Yours by Jason Mraz.
Fire! Fire!
I tried to beat you, but you're so hot that I melted. I fell right through the cracks. Now I'm trying to get back.
No idea what that was about. But anyway, my point is,
hey, that was fire.
Untouched
That was
never
fire.
a big American hit. It was a hit. It broke the top 20, which is great, but that's not quite conquering America. So you might have heard this song a lot where you were, or if you were a jobless post-grad in the middle of nowhere, Virginia, with a distant dream of becoming a YouTuber someday, maybe it doesn't reach the radio stations near you. So that was one reason I passed on it. The other one was that once I did hear it, I didn't really think it was very good or interesting. Didn't do anything for me at all. So I wound up covering a song that was much dumber and probably worse, but also much funnier. That's a good episode. Well, anyway, now I'm being forced to review it, and
I might be watching that episode soon because once I'm done with the best list and worst list, then I'll probably spin back around to the years and do some one-hit wonderlands and pop song reviews, and train records.
So I'm gonna try and give it more.
Might be reacting to that.
Let's play
very
this, baby.
not very soon, but later.
Okay, one thing I will admit right away, those strings kick serious ass. Not
True.
just the audacity of starting with a string intro, but like the riff itself. Right away, you know this is gonna be the most intense thing you've ever heard in your life. And then the song kicks off. And it's already going at light speed. Honestly, this is where it starts to lose me a little. I think maybe it's going too fast. Like,
This shit low-key fire.
This song, because they hit you with a lot right away. In fact, the entire first verse is a rapid fire barrage of just is basically sound effects. It's like a flood of words, like ooh what la 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 eat ooh or ting tang walla walla bing bang. I'm not gonna lie, I find those la 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 la's pretty annoying. I mean that's my big problem, honestly. It's just la 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 la. It feels like they're making fun of me. But what is this song about exactly? Besides la 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 la. From what they've said, it's basically about long distance relationships.
They had that back then.
They were on the road a lot. They were splitting time between two continents.
Damn.
There was a lot of time.
That bro, people complain about long distance relationships now, but imagine back then, like what the fuck, like in 2009, what they had fucking letter pigeons or something. Like they had to like how did they do it? I mean, I guess they had phones, but like it wasn't like you can't FaceTime each other, you know, like you can call, I guess, but like can't even like have like good phone sex. Like you can't even see each other. That fucking sucks. God damn.
Apart between them and whoever they were dating. I mean, I know a little
unlucky, bro,
about long distance relationships, and boy, I can tell you they suck. So knowing that, this song.
Why would you willingly put yourself in a long distance relationship? Like, I get it if like you. I get it if you if like you're in a relationship and then they move away like unexpectedly. That's okay. But like unless fucking Sabrina Carpenter is on the other end of the call, you should not be going in. I feel like you should not be going in a relationship long distance, like just immediately, like that. I don't know. Maybe I just got trust issues, like especially in college, bro. Like dating a girl from another college, you know, you got fucking the like 23-year-olds like fucking like risen up and shit. Like hell no, nope, not for me.
Yeah, I think they're onto something here with that line, because I miss you is the worst fucking sentence in the world. Like, I love you is great. I miss you sounds like you're saying I love you, but you don't get that rush of expressing affection or anything. It's like you're taking all the joy from saying I love you and then turning it into shit. Damn. Oh my god, I haven't tried the long distance thing in forever. Like, never again. Never. And this one lyric just like triggered some PTSD for me.
Bro, why do they sound like the fucking singer for Nana? Am I the only one who thinks this? Am I the only one who even knows Nana? No.
So yeah,
they
that's
really
great.
Sound like the fucking singers for that show.
And there is one other major element about why this song took off. According to various sources in my research, Untouched is considered like a gay anthem.
Started seeing on Twitter specifically for the last probably year now, people be like, oh my God, Untouched, like I came out to this song, or this song, something about this song like was a part of a lot of LGBT youth's journey.
I mean, you can make anything
Well,
a gay anthem.
That's interesting. Like, obviously the reason that this song means so much to the LGBTQ community is... Actually, I'm going to cut myself off here. I have no idea why any of y'all do what you do, and I'm not going to pretend. I feel like sometimes y'all just pick these things at random. Like, even the Veronicas themselves seem a little perplexed about it.
What is it about Untouched? What is it about that song in particular, or the music that we create that resonates so much with the LGBT community?
I mean, I guess like a lot of the correlation, you know, the emo kind of goth thing that they're doing here kind of correlates to like, you know, like lesbians. Like I mean, there's probably a lot of gay goth girls out there, or gay emo girls. Like I wouldn't be surprised.
My best guess is that the LGBTs are pretty attuned to unsatisfied yearning, more so than the straights, and we straights are no slouches at it. Or I don't know.
That's honestly a better fucking
the gays
theory.
Will have to tell me in the comments. So I think I get the song better now. Still doesn't quite work for me. It's a little too frenetic. I mean, this is like pump up, drive too fast music. Like, and I've been in long distance situations, and I don't remember like screaming, racing down the hallway during it. It was more a lot of moping. But then again, I'm a pretty mopey guy in general, so I guess I'm in the minority on that. I've gotten a lot of requests for Untouched over the years from people who remember it very fondly, so I don't know. Regardless, career-wise, the Veronicas had finally broken through like they tried so hard for so long. They were getting played at the Victoria's Secret fashion show. They were on The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody.
So you guys are from England?
Australia.
Do you always answer everything together?
No.
They were young.
What?
They were hot. There were two of them. What could go wrong?
Uh-oh.
All right, next single. Apparently the follow-up to Untouched, at least in this country, was an equally belated chart run for the album's fourth single, Take Me on the Floor.
They're doing the fucking noise thing again.
Now, these girls do like their da-da-das and la-la-las,
yeah.
don't they? Like, I'm not convinced that Untouched was so ahead of its time, but this song very much does sound like a 2009 hit that they made 2 years early. Like, you can totally hear Kesha or late-era Britney doing this. But Take Me on the Floor didn't really do anything, though. It struggled its way onto the Hot 100 and quickly showed itself out.
Damn.
But there is one really interesting thing about this song.
Oh.
Well, hey now. You know, it's funny when the Veronicas talk about
we're a little more obvious with a, you know,
song now.
A little more obvious.
Why wasn't this the gay anthem? Now, this wasn't quite a coming out for Jess, who wrote that line, because she said she was still figuring things out at this time. But it did lead to some accusations of gay baiting, like Katy Perry had gotten the year before. Jess said she wasn't ready to make any definitive labels, and in 2008, Jess was caught by the tabloids fulfilling that desire to kiss a girl, and that was pretty rough on Jess. She said she got called a fake lesbian a lot. Oh, the 2000s. Anyway, this song didn't catch on, but so what? Not only did they finally have a foothold into America, but since it took so long to catch on, they also already had a 2-year jump on crafting the follow-up.
We're coming up to writing a third record. Maybe
It's like we've discovered
maybe
a
we'll
lot
start butting
more.
heads then. But
I feel like for the next record, you know, we might do a lot of different stuff and see what works.
Surely the third album would be the one that delivers on the upward trajectory and makes them stars, just as soon as they release it.
I, Barack Hussein Obama.
Be here.
They
just didn't release it.
As they release it. Any day now, they're gonna drop that record, and it'll be so big once they release it.
LeBron!
Once they release it, which will be bro, what the fuck is happening? No, hold on. I think I have to address what the fuck that was just about. One thing I didn't mention about why the follow-up failed. They were at Warner Brothers, and Warner Brothers apparently just hated them. The sisters say they were told that second album, the one with the big hit on it, had no hits on it, and they had to push to even get it released. And if they thought things were torture before that album,
you know what I think happened? They might have done a little bit more than kissing a girl on that next album. I'm just saying, possibly. And they just didn't want it to come out, you know? They saw the success of, you know, Untouched having the, you know, gay anthem shit, and then obviously the other follow-up, and then they probably did a lot more on that album, but Warner Bros. Were like, no, we're fucking homophobic as shit, we're not gonna let you put that.
Much worse after.
That's my theory.
In the 2010s,
That's my theory.
Warner Brothers Records devolves into absolute chaos.
Oh, never mind.
And whatever resources they do have get focused onto R&B.
Jason Derulo.
So the Veronicas, already not a favorite of the label, get completely lost in the shuffle.
Every time we made progress with one person, as far as A&R or a CEO went on approving things, they were then fired within a 6-month period, and we would have to wait to be assigned a new person.
They get no information from the higher-ups, no help, nothing from Warner Brothers for years upon years.
They got fucked.
To the point where they began outright begging them in public to either release the album or let them leave. After years of this, they finally forced their way out, signed with Sony Music Australia, and finally released their third album in 2014. It's just called The Veronicas. And as I always say, self-titling any album after your first is usually a defensive statement. In this case saying, we're still here and we haven't even made our best stuff yet, so don't forget about us.
Their new single debuted in the #1 position just yesterday.
Well, that album went platinum in Australia.
God damn.
One hit, so
okay.
Success. Haha.
F you, everybody that didn't believe in us.
The record itself, though,
They didn't believe in us.
It's kind of an
Oh,
It
dude.
does feel like they got shut out of a big opportunity since they couldn't follow their sound in the early 2010s when that shit was blowing up. 2014, meanwhile, is a very weird year for music, so accordingly, this is kind of a weird album. They rap at one point.
Look like hell, just get back.
That's
okay.
Something. The big Aussie hit off of it was a slow ballad, the exact opposite of the thing they were going for.
I'm your greatest masterpiece.
That's not bad.
You ruined me.
It's an angry breakup ballad that is at least partly aimed at Warner Brothers, who they would take lots and lots of shots at over the next few years.
If you love
The second one is just like an anthem for love around the world, but it comes with an anarchist protest video for some reason. I don't know what was going on in Australia at the time. And then there's the third single, Cruel.
Wish I could say you're not the one.
This reminds me of that Jessie J song.
Which didn't actually do very well, but is like clearly the best song they've ever made.
Feel so
It's definitely early 2010s. I like it though.
How is this not humongous? Like, this song's amazing. Also, the actor in the video is Lisa's future husband, Logan Huffman, and I can tell you from watching their reality show that guy is a freak. He's had his brain hollowed out by Hollywood.
Oh.
A few years ago, a Nida elder medicine man taught me a ceremony. Now, I have no native inside me, so I have to preface that.
Yeah, he's a medicine man, I guess. And he also does like tarot and rune readings, and he has a large collection of dumb hats. I don't know. Okay, so at this point, they're basically only big down under anymore, and something of a cult act in other countries. But you know, that's still pretty great. You know, that's fine. Being big in Australia is awesome. It's an entire ass continent. Their career is back on track, and they can go on recording albums like they were meant to do. Yeah, not so much. They did release a handful of singles after this, but a new album would not come out for another 7 years. And there's a reason for that. You remember how I told you Jess was caught making out with a girl in 2008? I didn't actually tell you who that was.
This is MTV Style. I'm Ruby Rose, and boy, oh boy, do we have a show for you today.
Who?
Ruby Rose, VJ on MTV
I know one Ruby
Love
Rose.
interest for Piper on Orange is the New Black, fought John Wick, future Batwoman.
Oh!
Remember, she was a big deal for a little.
Damn, I didn't know that. John Wick?
Ruby Rose, VJ on MTV Australia, love interest for Piper on Orange is the New Black, fought John Wick.
That's crazy. Damn.
Future Batwoman. Remember her? She was a big deal for a little while. Close to a one-hit wonder herself, honestly. Anyway, that was her with Jess in 08, and around this time, she re-enters Jess's life, and it's much more serious this time. She even wrote, directed, and starred in one of their videos.
Life isn't pretty, we'll get a little wrecked sometimes.
And
Whoa!
Something happens.
Oh,
and for the rest of that relationship,
I didn't know they were
the
thinking like that.
stopped talking completely.
Lisa and I didn't talk for a year. I was in a relationship that wasn't good for me. I became very isolated.
As you can see, they come up just short of accusing Ruby Rose of some serious stuff here.
I realized that I'd become the enemy in the situation, and I was ultimately, my presence and my love was making it harder for her.
Yeah, it got really ugly.
Oh.
Ruby has threatened on Instagram pretty recently to expose them both, and then she kind of backed off of that. Gotta be honest, Ruby Rose seems like kind of a messy bitch. For the record, Jess also dated Billy Corgan for a short little bit, and she has nothing but good things to say about that guy, so apparently Ruby Rose was that much worse than Billy Corgan. In Ruby's defense, Jess also seems pretty messy herself. Like, she's fully admitted that she should never have had a Twitter account.
And then I'm too fucking clean.
Breslin at one point. Regardless, they didn't talk for a year, and they didn't reunite until Ruby Rose was out of the picture, and also because their mom got sick, so they had to go take care of her.
Aw, damn.
Eventually, they collected the handful of singles they'd released and spread them out over the course of 2 new albums of material. Those came out in 2021. I listened to them.
Did I just see that shit? No. Go back. No.
Out over the course of
Godzilla. The Godzilla spiders fucking strike again. Are you serious? I knew it. I made it up. I didn't know it was real, but no, they have Godzilla spiders in Australia. What the fuck?
2 new albums of material. Those came out in 2021. I listened to them, and they are tough listens. These are, you can tell that these are the going through some shit albums, as we all were in 2021. But it seems to have been smooth sailing ever since. They put out a new album last year, which was pretty good. They even toured for it in America.
I feel like the Veronicas are very like I feel like a lot of their music is very prime for like a TikTok comeback. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of songs that older songs that come back at TikTok, and I think I see them as possibly an act that might have an older song that might get popular on TikTok again.
They show up at Pride events in this country all the time.
One.
They're still very famous in Oz, it seems like. There's really no suggestion that the Veronicas have a lot of reasons to be upset with their place in the world right now. Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah. Like, you can say this definitively. If the Veronicas failed in any way, it wasn't because they didn't have any star potential. Looks like a lot of shit, some self-inflicted, a lot not, just kept getting in their way. Even before I did the deep dive, I didn't really think of them as one-hit wonders, quite honestly, but, I didn't request them. And even if I'm not the biggest fan of their big hit, I think they're an absolutely worthy band to get into. And really, the Australians need some glamour in their lives, right? Like, if not for the Veronicas and
the goddamn Godzilla spiders.
Do besides wrestle crocodiles all day.
Fucking Godzilla spiders.
That was a lot of work for a band that doesn't release anything for 7 years at a time, but I think that one was pretty entertaining. I think I kept it pretty positive.
All right, where's the sponsor?
Like the episodes where I full on hate something, so since I know that's what you guys like, may I recommend a little show to you that I think you'll enjoy. It's called Abolish Everything, where 4 comedians compete for the right to remove their pet peeve from the entire universe, and whoever can make the strongest case wins.
Abolish
it's a comedy, debate,
speaker
audience participation show like they used to put on
Abolish
cable television before that
stretching?
all collapsed. So imagine seeing your most hated pet peeve. Badly trained dogs. That
Wait. How is your pet peeve stretching? What?
Hate. Sketchy online mental health services.
Imagine you weren't able to stretch. Like, your body would literally be miserable.
For the right to legally ban it from existing. And you get to be the judge. That's the joy of Abolish Everything, and you can watch that on Nebula, along with all its other original shows. Nebula is home to some of the most creative, thought-provoking, and just plain fun content you won't find anywhere else.
Ooh.
No ads, early access, and a growing library
No
of
ads.
exclusives. So if you want to watch Abolish Everything and a ton of other amazing Nebula originals, use my link to get 40% off. That's just $36 a year or $3 a month. That's a great value, and you'd also be helping me, which I'd appreciate. So click the link, scan the QR code, and start watching now. Thank you, and good night.
I feel so untouched and I want you so much that I just can't resist you. It's not enough to say it.
All right, that was a good little video. I actually like the artist that he covered. I think that was really cool. Yeah, man, what do you guys think of the Veronicas? Tell me in the comments down below. Subscribe to Todd in the Shadows. Subscribe to me. Follow my Twitter. Subscribe to my second channel that I don't post on, but still subscribe. You know? Alright. Goodbye. Thanks for watching.